Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Soshing with Suntwe. Today, we have a very interesting guest. We've got Ilan Wiesenbacher, an old friend from Zimbabwe. If you'll just give us a second to do our shares, you know how it goes. If you guys have watched before, we take the first few seconds to try and share the video to all of our feeds. And if you are there already, drop a comment in the comments below and let us know where you're watching from. Say hi to everybody and give us a share, tag mates if you want to, and yeah, we'll be on it in a second. So let me just get this done. Technology, eh? I think that what we can do at the moment is crazy.
I'm more impressed with how well you pronounced my surname.
Oh, really? I have known you long enough.
True.
Group. Try to get it in as many groups as possible. The group. Last one coming up. Got to get it done, eh? There's got to be an easier way to do this. If anyone knows an easier way of doing this, please let me know. Because it's a little bit fumbly, I think.
I'll just go see if I shared it right.
Right, I'm done on my side. I can see that we've got... and then I just like to bring it up on my other computer. I'm not ignoring you if I'm looking around all ADD like. It's because I'm looking at comments on other screens and stuff. So I'm... it looks like I'm all over the place sometimes. Great. Ha! Tony's there, your dad. Hi, Tony. Long time. Hope you're well.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. To prime away from his series at the moment is quite a feat, so I'm feeling pretty proud.
There he is. Hi, Paul and Ilan. We got
Hi, Dad.
Mark Wachenheimer. Hi, Ilan.
So, Wiesenbacher married a Wachenheimer. That's my father-in-law.
Wachenheimer.
If I have father-in-law, mother-in-law.
I see. And then Cisa from Vic Falls. Cisa was one of my guests a little while ago. Hey, guys, good to see you both here. Ilan, trust me, there's more who want to hear your life story. You inspire us, bro. So that's awesome. So basically, Ilan and I have known each other for a very long time. Probably in the beginning, not so well, because obviously there's a little bit of an age difference. How old are you now?
39 in a month or two. And what are you, about 45?
In the shade. Yeah, 35 on a good day, 45 on a bad day. But yeah, so you were a couple of years ahead of me. Your younger brother, Yaron, was just 1 year below me in school. So our families have been friends for a long time, and we went to school, junior school, high school, at the same places. And so, yeah, we've known each other for a long time, but only got to know each other more in the last few years. So yeah, tell us about your early life. You're born and bred in Zim. Were you born in Bulawayo?
Yeah, born in Bulawayo, Mater Dei Hospital.
Mater Dei baby.
Yeah, so yeah, and then grew up there. You know, our childhood was something special. Fond memories of that. I mean, Bulawayo hasn't changed much.
You went to Carmel School?
Carmel Junior School, followed by CBC. Where were you?
The whole way?
Yeah, CBC the whole way. Yourself as well?
Yeah, also CBC.
Okay, I don't know why you look like a Falcon boy.
Stop it! Don't say horrible things to me. You just come here as my guest and start insulting me like that.
True story. No, so I was below the belt. Sorry, I'll try to be better. And then, yeah, school, CBC, and after school, as everybody does, you know, we generally move away. And I planned to move to the States, but ended up in Cape Town. A friend of mine convinced me to go to Cape Town before I went to the States, and I thought that was a good idea. He actually ended up going to the States and never came to Cape Town, but that's another story.
Was he a Falcon boy by any chance?
I've never seen him again, but we are in touch. Yeah, no, he was from Harare actually.
Well, that explains everything.
Correct. Shifty Shaunas.
Shifty.
And after school, went to Cape Town, university there, and a couple of years later, my folks moved across. Then Cape Town was home for a few years until basically after the World Cup in 2010, I decided I needed a change and went back to Zim. Didn't really have much of a plan, but just started.
Before you go too far there, Cape Town, you went to, what did you study at varsity?
So first year was hotel management at Varsity College, and then I moved across to UCT, where I started doing PPE, which was politics, philosophy, and economics. I didn't finish university. Thanks, Yaron.
Your younger brother's selling you out there, eh?
Well, listen, don't worry, I'll sort him out later, as I always do. So university, then Cape Town, University of Cape Town, where I did PPE. 2 years into it, I got bored. I changed to property studies, and to cut a long story short, I started working in a pub, and that was the end of my university career, and until they literally chucked me out and they said, "You're done." I was part-time studying, part-time working, and at UCT that doesn't cut it for them, and they literally just came to me in the end and said, "No, you're done." And I thought, "Oh shit, okay, I better finish my degree. I'll quit work and I'll go back." And I appealed to them to say, "Okay, I'm really sorry, I'll come back now." And they turned down my appeal. So that was it, and that was the end of my studies.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay, so from that you started working in the pub, and that way you started moving yourself towards the hospitality and restaurant career, or what did you do between university and sort of the 2010 before you came back to Zim?
So I started working for sort of a group of clubs in Cape Town, quite famous at the time, one called Opium and Pulse. And there was a group, and I was mainly doing marketing for them. And I'd heard the one day that there was another club for sale. So I said to my GM at the time, should we tell our boss that there's another club for sale? And he said, "No, Ilan, we're going to do that one ourselves." So we all broke away, 4 of us from that company, and we opened up a nightclub in Claremont called Wada. And Wada was my first sort of business that I, sort of owned. What a name, what a club, what a stupid idea, what a bunch of, I tell everybody I was 25 years old at the time. Obviously I had no money of my own. So my dad, God bless him, put in the money. And I don't know what he was thinking. I was 25 years old, if it was I don't know, if it was a hardware business or, if it was anything else, but to let your 25-year-old son open up a nightclub is just a recipe for disaster. And it was a lot of fun, but a big disaster as well.
The old saying, "Don't get high on your own supply," does it apply?
Jeez, but I think I've still got outstanding bar tabs, from 2007 that I haven't settled. It was fun, man. It was a lot of fun, and I guess it was the foundation of where I am now. But looking back, it was a bit of a crazy time, and then that didn't last too long. I sort of sold out of that and went into another venture at the time. We were sort of doing a recruitment company with another friend of mine. It was actually, we had great intentions, but I just didn't have any experience in recruitment. So we started a company called Working for Zimbabwe. And it was at a time where, there were thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of Zimbos who had come across to South Africa because of the economic situation in Zim. And, the idea was that you had so many skilled people and we just needed to link them with the right jobs. So we started with that. Unfortunately, it didn't quite kick off. As I said, I had no experience in it, so it was a bit tough going when you don't have that experience. But yeah, it was, I don't know if we helped anyone in the end. I hope we did. That was the idea as well. It was quite a nice initiative. And after that, I got involved in another club. And you know what, it was, to be honest, Paul, it was just a lot of drinking, a lot of partying, and I just felt like I needed to get out of Cape Town, and that's when sort of I made the decision to leave and considered going overseas, considered going to Joburg, where I've ended up, but ultimately I had our family home in Bulawayo, which I think made the sort of transition sort of easy for me, and my dad had some properties that needed to be looked after, so I ended up in Bulawayo, and back home. And it's funny because I always, sorry to cut you there, I always, growing up, before you leave Zim, it was always, okay, I'm gonna leave Zim for university and come back when I'm 30. That was like, and I did that, and it was, it wasn't like a great plan, but that's sort of how it turned out. So yeah, interesting.
So your return to Zim was that, I don't know if I'm reading it wrong, and I could be completely, but was that sort of like a low point transition, or was that just a transition?
Definitely a bit of a low point transition. I just felt I was in a bit of a rut in Cape Town. I wasn't happy. I wanted a change. I guess, it seems a long time ago now. It is quite a long time ago, 2007, 8, 9, 10. But as I said, there was just a lot of sort of partying. I think the 1 week, I lost 3 cell phones in a week, and that wasn't because I'm doof. That was alcohol, that was, so, there was just a lot of, and because I was in that nightclub environment as well, that was my work. So you couldn't really, pull yourself out of it. So I guess a low point transition. Thanks for that terminology.
No, because I think it's important for people to understand that, behind, like one of my favorite things that I heard, a quote, I can't remember where it is, but I repeat it to myself all the time, is it took me 20 years to become an overnight success. And you hear that said so many different times, where people, especially serial entrepreneur type characters like yourself, to some degree myself, where we don't fit the norm per se, we end up going off and trying to make our own way. And you go through failure after failure after failure, success after success after failure after success. And I don't like to say failure. It's either you succeed or you learn. So, as long as you're maintaining a goal mindset, there's no failure in the situation. So it's important for people to understand that you didn't just walk into Zimbabwe with a massive plan, that you came there at a transitionary period. And now, look at you now. You're aspiring to be there. So what was your first plan when you got to Zim?
Sure. As I said, my dad had some properties that sort of I looked after, and that sort of helped me get going. And I did a few events. I was still in that sort of nightclub party mode type thing. Did a few events at some of the bars and clubs in Bulawayo, mainly sort of music events. I'd bring bands from South Africa, DJs from South Africa, and we'd party in Bulawayo. I don't know if you recall any of the mega fests in Bulawayo, good times, winter fests, whatever. I think the first one that I did was Jack Mantis, so great band from Cape Town, Joburg, I think. Yeah, there's a couple of guys. And yeah, to be honest, I didn't have much of a plan. And I was doing a bit of that. My housekeeper, when my dad had his coffee shop in Zim, she used to bake all the cakes. So I got her baking again, and I was selling cakes. I was supplying supermarkets, supplying coffee shops. I'd go around in my car delivering cakes. And that's, it seems like a long time ago, but I don't know, what are we, 10 years? It's a long time, but not a long time. It's
not a long time at all.
Yeah.
Natural born hustler there. So.
Yeah. I can't recall the exact sequence. I mean, there were a few things that I got involved with, which was mainly on the sort of, with bars and nightclubs that I was doing. My brother famously reminds me of the one place that I got involved with. It was the place that we called Ayoba. At the time, everything was Ayoba from the World Cup, and that was that was a disaster. One thing led to another, and here where I am today, we can obviously chat about some of my businesses and the impacts of COVID and whatever you want to chat about.
I was quite interested in, at one stage you did a business where you converted assets to cash for micro lending type thing. What was it called again?
Quick Cash.
Quick Cash. And is that still going? What happened to that?
No, I happily got out of that about, 3-4 years ago. It was, that was sort of my main business for a while. How it started, there was a guy that I was working with in the bar. He was my manager at the bar, at Ayoba, actually. And he kept coming to me and saying, look, Ilan, there's guys that want to, borrow money. The interest rates are really high. These sort of, quick loans, you get between 20 and 30% a month on your money. And they give you an asset and we do a loan. And in the beginning, I was doing it, without having a proper business. I was just doing it sort of behind the scenes. Hey, Graham, Ayoba to you, man. You'll never walk alone, Graham. So we were just doing it on the side. He was running my bar at the time, my bar. He was stealing from me. That was fantastic. And he still owes me money. It's funny, like, from that business, I'm owed quite a lot of money. And, actually, like, you get to a stage where I don't like to say I've written it off. I like to say I donated. It makes me feel a little bit more comfortable that, I, for whatever reason, that person owes me money, but I donated it to him. He didn't. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it makes me more at peace to think that way. So
I call it school fees.
Oh, dude, school fees, yeah.
I just said it's my school fees. I paid school fees. I got educated, so I paid my school fees. That's how I look at it.
100%. So I was doing that, and for a while it was fantastic. But are you there? We seem to be breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay. So it was really good for a time, and then obviously when the currency started to change, and I'd lend somebody $100 US, and you'd pay me back 130, but that 130 wasn't worth 130 anymore. That's when it, the writing was on the wall for that business. So, I could have adapted, but I was just happy to get out of it. I guess I just sort of ran down the loan book and got out of it. And it was a weird thing because you can look at it two ways, and I looked at it so many ways, because obviously a lot of people come to you and they're really desperate for money. So on one hand, you're helping them, but on the other hand, you're screwing them. And it was quite a bizarre situation. I mean, I had people that used to take a loan and then they would just pay the interest every month, and at the time I thought it was wonderful, but in truth, it wasn't great. It wasn't something to be proud of, that's for sure. I could never say I'm so proud of what I'm doing. What is there to be proud of? You sort of taking desperate people's money and
profiting,
making a profit. But there were, in truth, when the business first started and the economy in Zim was good, it was, most of my loans were business finance loans. So a guy got a contract from Zessa. He got a contract to supply nuts and bolts. He needed $5,000 to go and buy the stock. He didn't have the money to buy the stock. They'd get a contract and then they got it. They'll find the money later. And they would factor my percentage into their costs and do the deal, pay me back, and it worked. And it was, looking back, for those people, it definitely helped a lot of people, because you couldn't go to the banks. I mean, the banks in Zim, and say, hey, I'm Paul Teasdale and I need a quick loan. And they look at you and say, what are you talking about? So there was that side, and that's when it really did well. But as the economy, for anybody that knows the Zim cycle in the last 10 years, I mean, from 2010, 2011, 2012, it just got progressively harder. And as it got harder, so that business evolved, and
And so your main thing in Bulawayo ended up being your Brooks coffee shop, is that correct?
So so Brooks, I mean, I wouldn't say it was my main thing. I think I was still doing quick cash at the time, but I started Brooks with a family friend, Rivka, that was it was sort of my dad had Brooks back in the day. So I mean, it wasn't a hobby or anything like that. It definitely was a business, but I never sort of saw that as my sort of focus or anything like that. I'm happy to say it's still going. It's been around for a good few years. It's probably the business I now put the least amount of my time into, and I wish I had more time to put into it. But I'm still sort of proud of it. I've got some great staff there. There's a guy, Bongani, who's now my manager, and he used to work for my uncle in the garden. So there's some amazing stories there, and it's still ticking along, and it's got a great location in Bulawayo, and I think some people appreciate it. The restaurant business, and we're getting judged left, right, and center. People walk through, and it's not like a normal business. You just get judged, and
it's a lot of scrutiny for sure.
Yeah, which is tough. I mean, you obviously have to, in the hospitality business, you have to have the mentality that the customer's always right, no matter what. And I'm always humble, and I'm always refund. I will go out of my way to make sure the customer leaves happy. But there's certainly and maybe social media has sort of come into it, and obviously the likes of TripAdvisor and Google reviews and things like that. There's a lot of unnecessary pressure and unnecessary criticism and unnecessary, I don't know, I haven't really talked much about it, but a lot of pressure that there shouldn't be. You literally, in that business, you don't have any room for margin. Like somebody that people walk in and they're judging you. And it's why are you so quick to walk in and judge me, where you'll then go to the supermarket next door and they'll give you the worst service in the world, but you'll be back there tomorrow. You'll be back. You'll be back every day, no matter how bad the service is. But God forbid, a restaurant or a coffee shop gives bad service. You can give good service 10 times, but give bad service once or a bad meal, and it's like the end of the world. I saw somebody on Facebook recently sort of put up a post about, I don't know, she said that restaurants are not giving value for money and in Bulawayo, and I just couldn't believe it. It's just like, you have no idea how hard it is to make a little bit of money in that business. Like, that extra crap that people judging you just makes it pretty tough. Makes it tough.
But this is something I wrote about like yesterday. I think I wrote a post about it, just how social media has given people an opportunity to be nasty because they hide behind a screen at the end of the day. So nastiness.
100%.
They say things and do things they would never do in real life, because as soon as there's actual humanity involved, it changes everything. And one of the things that I really, really find hard to deal with is when I go to a restaurant. I don't mind if you're not satisfied with your food and you want to complain about it, but I feel like there's definitely a way to do it. Go to the back, talk to the manager, say something nice. But the people who sit there and shout at the waiter, who at the end of the day is just a delivery guy between the kitchen and your table, I cringe, and I can't take that kind of behavior where someone's being treated unkindly or badly because of an error. I mean, obviously nobody tried to make your food shit. That would be counterproductive.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And nobody's trying to give you bad service, etc. But it's just and that on the other sort of the other side of the restaurant business is that it's a high pressure business. Somebody standing in the queue at a supermarket chilling. They hate chilling. It can take 15 minutes and well, that's a supermarket. But somebody waiting for their food. And if you've got a packed restaurant, there's only so much you can do. So it is a tough one. But I do love Brooks. Obviously, I've got sort of the 3 monkeys in the falls, which
that's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
So when did you start the 3 monkeys in the falls? Because I remember a very distinct phone call that we had, the two of us, where sorry?
I said your memory is a lot better than mine.
So I remember before it was even a thing. I remember you phoning me while I was in the falls. I was when I was kayaking and doing whatever I was doing there, and you called me. You were obviously calling a bunch of people to do a bit of market research and a bit of fact finding and digging. And you said to me, "Do you think there's room for something in the falls?" And I said, "Well, what is something?" And you said to me, "Something like, restaurant-y, entertainment-y wise." And I remember saying, buddy, the quality of service and food in the falls is left a lot to be desired. If you come and do something here and you do it properly, you'll do well. And you said to me, "Oh yeah, I don't want to speak now, but we might have an opportunity near where that old train is." I don't tell anyone, so I just kept quiet. And the next thing I knew, there was a bloody restaurant built there. So I was like, "Shit, this guy moves."
Yeah. So
I remember that very clearly.
So my partner Martin Peters used to come to my coffee shop, Brooks, and we'd always chat, and eventually we'd chat about the falls, and we wanted to open up a bar in Victoria Falls. That was us chatting, and we sort of thought, okay, where would the best location be? And that location obviously that we got is prime location, and we thought, okay, that's it. And we approached. There was a guy there that sort of had an expired lease on it, who became our partner. That's another long story. But eventually, we basically, we worked with NRZ, who are our landlord, to get a new lease. And eventually, after months of negotiating and hard work, eventually that lease came through. And yeah, it's just when we were traveling up and down to start well, we were building and planning. We'd need to eat, and we'd go to. I'm not going to name all the places that we went to because some of them are still there, but the service and the food was and the price, nothing added up there. There was no value for money, good sort of food offerings at the time, or at least I thought so. And I think even the ones that are still there, they might be listening in. We definitely raised the bar for them to sort of, say, shit, we better up our game, which is a good thing, because they didn't have proper competition before. So, yeah, while we were building, we realized that we wanted to turn it into a full-on restaurant, not just a pub. And I mean, initially the plans were to have the bar on the one side of that carriage and the kitchen on the other side of the carriage. And when I brought Greg Paymans, who eventually became our partner and our GM on the ground and head chef / everything.
Just before you continue, what an amazing chef Greg is.
100%. I know. 100%.
I have to give that my props. And what a great guy in general. I love the dude. I love his food. I love his everything. That guy is one of my favorite people on the planet, just for the record.
No, good stuff. No, he is amazing. I mean, what he does in the kitchen, he's so, a lot of chefs have different specialities. He just does everything brilliantly, whether it's the baking, whatever he does it amazingly. So yeah, we're blessed to have him. And when he came up and I said, yeah, Greg, so the bar's going to be this side of the carriage and the kitchen's going to be that side. He said, Ilan, you're going to burn the place down day one. You can't put a kitchen in a wooden railway carriage. It doesn't work. So we eventually built a kitchen, which we then doubled the size. After year one, we were so busy, we had to build another, extend the kitchen, which was a blessing, I guess. And yeah, that sort of came about in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. And I was quite confident that it would do well. But I mean, I was new to Vic Falls, and listen, our timing was, people say, oh well, you make your own luck, but we really hit the time. We were probably a year too late. If we were there a year earlier, they would have been fine. But our timing was excellent. The falls had just started exploding, and we obviously, being so central, having good service, having good food, we definitely sort of, captured, that sort of thing. But I mean, it wasn't easy, and it was, I mean, I was new. It was basically, I mean, I'd run coffee shops and been involved in restaurants, but I'd never been involved in a restaurant of that scale, open 7 days a week, lunch and dinner. And yeah, a friend of mine once said to me, because our biggest thing in the beginning was the food would take so long to come out. And it was also an experience thing from Greg's side, because he was used to having, okay, you've got your kitchen and you've got your one guy that plates, you got one guy on the grill, you got one fryer, and you got one pizza. And we started that kitchen with 4 people. It was 4 people in that kitchen. And I mean, I shit you not, wow. on nights in the last year, prior to COVID, would probably, I stand to be corrected by Greg, but probably have 15 people in the kitchen at one time. So 4 people were trying to do sort of a 10, 15 people job in the beginning. And, eventually, we obviously just sort of caught up to it. And just been an interesting but amazing ride. And you know what it's like. Victoria Falls is just the most incredible place. I mean, I get so excited to host people there. I get so excited to send people there because I know, they're just going to have the most amazing time. I think that this COVID might be a bit of a sort of wake up for the falls in terms of the pricing, because, especially for South Africans, I mean, we were so busy with internationals that it was like, well, we don't need the South Africans, but in reality, you turn your back on the market and look what happens. So I think there'll be some, because why I say this is it became a little bit tough for me to send people there with the prices. It was not cheap. Your airfares were expensive, hotels were expensive, everything was a bit expensive, before this. And I'm not saying it wasn't. You definitely got a value for money. I'm not saying it was overpriced, but it could only really appeal to people with a fair amount of money. And
it cuts off the majority, really. It really does.
Yeah. So listen, in saying that, there were more lodges being built. There were more better budget accommodation. I mean, Shewater Village for one, fantastic. And, that allowed me to send people that could only afford that sort of price bracket, and there you get amazing value for money. And as we were going, there was just more and more of that sort of type of accommodation that there was better value for, or I'm not saying better value for money, I'd rather say more affordable options. I mean, there's always been affordable options, but, some of them have been, it's backpacker type accommodation. It's not, family accommodation.
I just want to check that. I feel like we might have been cut off somehow.
I'm with you. I got you.
Yeah, it looks like we're still good.
Are we good?
Talking about marketing, one thing that I have to commend you on as well, and I want to know exactly whose idea it was, because whoever came up with the idea of writing that "I love Vic Falls" across the wall there is an absolute fucking genius. Because when I saw that going up, I remember just looking at it and just going like, I can't believe how simple, but how no one's thought of this. This is incredible. It is the marketing opportunity of a lifetime to have that. Every single person that I ever had staying at my Airbnb, every single client that I ever had, every single person that I saw go through that town afterwards wanted a photo under that sign.
Yeah. No, so, I mean, I guess it was sort of my idea. Ideas generally come from other places. A friend of mine runs a big festival in South Africa called Rage. I don't know how familiar you are with Rage. Rage is basically the South African version of Spring Break. Is it Spring Break? What is it called? Where after school, rather, you go and it's a 2-week sort of let's get absolutely hammered. And I came across his picture, a picture of his, and I'll just show you can you see that?
I see it.
Yeah, so I saw that and I adapted that to the "I love Vic Falls" sign, and as you say, the rest is history. It's become one of the most photographed things after the falls itself, I think.
I reckon it was genius. And for me, marketing and social media marketing is, I'm by no means an expert on it, but it's something that I really like and it interests me and I find it interesting. And when I saw that, I was just like, this guy's a genius, because it's brilliant. It really is. There's nothing else you can say about it. It's brilliant.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no, it definitely worked out. It worked out well. In saying that, we've often sort of had a problem where, well, in the beginning, we were so worried about the sign being visual that we limited what we did with that whole area downstairs. We were scared to put something up in front of it because then it's ruining the photo. So we were always sort of mindful of that. Umbrellas during the day, for example, by the old seating there. We didn't put umbrellas because it gets in the way of the signage. So, look, as it happens, we're working on a little renovation. You're probably the first person I'm telling. I don't even think I've told my one partner. I think I better tell him. I hope he's not listening in. But Yeah, I'll let him know when we need some money. But we're working on a bit of renovation downstairs on that, what we call the turf.
Yeah.
So yeah, in a few months' time, hopefully when we're having a beer there, that sort of area will be transformed. Hopefully we'll certainly have to incorporate the sign into it. We can't get rid of that. But yeah, we are working on that area. So that's quite exciting.
Oh, that'll be amazing. That's very cool. So putting the restaurant business aside, you've gone into a bit of wholesale as well. I mean, I know you were getting into the liquor distribution side of things back when I was still working for Liquorama, where we were doing distribution, and we were even supplying you with at Three Monkeys with some things. You had already started with certain wines and certain things. I know at Liquorama we were also dealing with a bit of drop import stuff as well, and now you're involved with drop imports.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about that transition to the wholesale world. I mean, that's a completely different kettle of fish now.
Yeah, I always had a dream of owning a liquor shop. I don't know why. I just love beautiful liquor displays. Maybe that's what I love, seeing like a nice display. Whenever I go into a restaurant, the first thing I like to do is go up to the bar and see the display. Beautiful liquor displays. I don't know. There's something about it that draws me to it. And yeah, I had a good sort of. Luckily, my dad in the property, we had a good sort of shop for it. And yeah, approached a guy that was doing, or had just closed his operation, and I said to him, was he keen to come into something with me? I never had any experience in it. And he said, yeah. And it took time. Zim was going through a lot of shit at the time. And, and eventually we just did it. And it was the best thing I ever did. He's still my partner today, Ash. We basically partners in the whole operation. And one thing led to another. We opened our first branch at the end of 2017. It was about a year after I opened the restaurant. And yeah, it's just that has become my passion and my full focus. More than, I'm still very passionate about the restaurants or whatever, but definitely my time now goes into my liquor business, which is growing nicely. And yeah, we've got 2 shops now in Bulawayo, 2 shops in Harare that are open, and opening up in liquor supplies.
Liquor supplies. Okay, so if you're in Bulawayo and Harare, guys, go and get your stuff from liquor supplies.
Thank you. Thanks for that punt.
Before eat at 3 months. And if you're in Bulawayo, have coffee at Brooks.
Exactly. We got you covered. Don't worry. So
wash. Can you sort that out for us next? We need our underwear wash. Where can we do that?
But I can't help you with that. And I certainly don't plan to try.
Not yet, is what you should have said.
So, listen, the one thing I have learned is in all of this, my brother got a hold of me a couple of days ago, and he's like, Ilan, what do you know about secondhand clothing or clothing? And because us entrepreneurs are always sort of looking at like an opportunity. Do you know what I mean? And ultimately, if you can get yourself into a position where you grow your business, like when I tell my wife that I'm opening up a new shop, I say to her, because she gets like crazy, and by the way, she's sitting next to me. Thank God she lets me do what I do. I don't know what I'd do without her, because yeah, she goes through it all. It's not easy at times, and a lot of traveling. Now she's getting emotional. She's pregnant, so she gets emotional pretty quickly.
Oh,
but thank God for her. I thought I better thank her before I get into shit later. Where was I? If you can be entrepreneurial but grow something, when he said clothing, like, even if it was a great idea, my ears just blocked off to it. And in old days, I would have been like, what's up, Joran? Tell me, how can we make this happen? And the truth is that you just then get distracted, and usually those things don't work out, So, if you can grow something that's got scope and work on it and let that grow rather than adding on different businesses that are completely unrelated, I think that's, well, for me anyway, my focus, and I think that's why I'm starting to do better in business, that I'm more focused on growing something rather than finding other business opportunities, because there's a million business opportunities. I mean, I've invested in gas projects, I've invested in a gold mine, and none of them ever work out. It looks amazing on paper. The gold looked brilliant on paper. The gas looks like you cannot fail. Everything looks amazing on paper, but the truth is that new businesses will 9 times out of 10 fail. So, if you've got a business working, then you've got to, I think, capitalize on that and make it work for you as much as you can. And that's what I'm doing with the liquor business, growing it. We've got 4 shops open, 4 shops currently being renovated. So soon there'll be 8 shops. I've got agencies now in Zim, for a whole lot of different products. The clothing was so cheap, we could have made a fortune. Yaron, my boy, it's not just about the money, hey?
So there's 2 things that come to mind for the scenario which you just said to me.
Just quickly to cut you short there, Paul, I see one of my other partners in my liquor distribution, David Small, has said that you need passion for what you do. And that is one of the biggest things, and he's 100% right. I'm very passionate about my liquor business, and I'm throwing everything into it. Was I ever passionate about my pawn business, my quick cash business? I like making money, but I was never passionate about it.
P-A-W-N, guys, P-A-W-N, not P-O-R-N.
I used to love telling people I had a pawn shop. It was my favorite. So David, right, and passion is very important. And if you can find something that you're passionate about, you'll 9 times out of 10 succeed, I think.
But I think also passion is created, where you find something where you generate interest, but you have to create passion in that interest. It's not something that I'm not a big subscriber for find your passion. I'm more like find something that interests and create the passion around it. That's more my philosophy on things. But going back on the 2 things that I wanted to note on what you're saying is talking about success by focus. Is that Tom Bilyeu says one of the keys to success is being able to close 999 doors and open one, and walk through that one door fully. And the second part of that success is walk through that door and be so good that no one can ignore you. And I think that's the demonstration that your business showed, like with the 3 monkeys in Vic Falls, was that you guys closed the 99 doors, you walked through the one, and then you were so good that you couldn't be ignored. And that's where the success came from. It wasn't luck. It wasn't timing. It wasn't, in my opinion, I mean, obviously this is your business, but in my opinion, it wasn't any of those things. It was the fact that you guys went there and you did something better than anybody else at the moment.
No, 100%. And yeah, I always sort of said that, like what I did in Zim, obviously what I learned in South Africa, I applied to Zim, and obviously, South Africa, I guess will be considered more of a first world country than Zim. And if you apply certain things to the markets, then people respond.
Before we approaching the hour, it's we got about 10 minutes to the hour. It doesn't matter if we go over a little bit, but I don't want to go over too far because otherwise it gets quite long. So I've got a couple of quick fire questions that were sent in from a friend of yours to ask you. And then I also want to take this opportunity to thank everybody who's watching for supporting today, coming along. Just so you know, this is the 11th episode I've done, Ilan, and you have broken the record for the most concurrent viewers on the actual live stream. So that's quite an achievement, and you broke it by quite a long way.
I was sort of worried no one would tune in. I mean, I guess lockdown got people really bored, eh?
Yeah. So, guys, if you're watching and there's something specific you want to ask or you want to know or any comment you want to make, drop it now so we can address those questions. And whilst you're busy thinking of your questions, I'm going to fire away at Ilan on some of the stuff that I got sent in to ask him already. So these are just fun questions. You don't have to think. You just chuck them out. It's just for a bit of fun. First one: burger or pizza at Three Monkeys?
Tell me about your mohawk.
Oh, do you want to make me cry?
Burger or pizza? Burger.
Afterwards. Pizza, you said.
Burger.
Okay. So Premier League title or Champions League title?
Both. What do you mean?
Okay. River or beach?
River. Jeez.
Yeah?
No, the Zambezi River. I'll take that over any beach in the world.
Good man. You're a man after my own heart. I can't stand the beach. I'm a river, mountains, forest guy. I hate the flippin' beach. Can't think of anything worse than going to the beach and sitting on the sand in the sun. It's just stupid.
Where water's so cold you can't even swim. That's Cape Town for you.
Okay, and the last question: Karius or De Gea? De Gea.
What was the first part?
Is it Karius or De Gea? David De Gea.
Jeez, I mean, Karius was a disaster, but he still is a Liverpool player. So we'll go with Karius, eh?
Can you guess who sent those questions in?
Could have been Graham Simmons putting in some.
Graham Simmons, well done.
Hey, geez, I'm good. Yes.
So the mohawk, she's gone. I now have lots of hair.
Oh man. So I thought you were bald and could just literally grow the hair there. So
you thought I had the opposite of everybody else that grows it around the sides and goes on top?
Yes.
Seriously? You looked at me like, this guy's haircut is so stupid. It can't be intentional. It must be a cover-up.
I was like, when is he going to grow up? But well done, man. Good to see a good mop of hair. I'm sure your wife's happy.
35 years later.
Hours in front of the mirror now.
35 years later, I grew a decent haircut.
Very good, man.
There's Graham Simmons.
Listen, De Gea took a leaf out of Karius's book this year. He's had a few disasters himself. But yeah, he's definitely a better goalie than Karius, that's for sure.
What is it with all the Carmel boys being Liverpool supporters? Because I don't know anything about football. I literally, when Graham sent me in those pictures, those questions, I said, I'm going to ask him, and I don't know anything of what I'm talking about. So the only thing I know is that Carmel boys support Liverpool because the Leondios boys are all Liverpool boys. You're a Liverpool boy. And from what I can remember, it was always Liverpool when we were at Carmel, even though Liverpool never wins anything.
So myself and Tony Leondios were in Liverpool just before lockdown. We were there in March. That was
when Graham was in Manchester.
Graham was in Manchester getting COVID. I was in Liverpool avoiding. You see, Manchester is not. You go to Manchester, you get COVID. You go to Liverpool, you're okay. And yeah, it was funny. We're there at the same time, but. And Graham, I'm glad that you've recovered and you're okay. It's okay, buddy. You're good. So Bruce Grobler played for Liverpool. Bruce Grobler played mainly in the 80s, early 90s, I think. And he was the Zimbabwe goalkeeper at the time growing up. And he starred for Liverpool for many years. He won a lot with Liverpool. And I think that, listen, Liverpool also, I guess, one of the most successful teams along with Manchester United. They sort of came in, to success after the Liverpool era of the 70s and 80s. And I guess just watching, you always go for the best teams, when you start out as a youngster. I mean, I take my hat off to any Blackburn supporters before they won the league in 95 or whenever that was. You just didn't support teams that didn't win, generally, you went to your top teams. But I mean, there's definitely a connection between a lot of Zimbabweans and Liverpool with Bruce Grobler. And that's basically how, we started supporting Liverpool. We used to go watch all the games in in Zim, National Sports Stadium and Barber Fields when Zim were playing. Watch Bruce Grobler play. Robert Doyle, Liverpool have won the EPL this year for the first time in 30 years. So thank you for your question, and we are the champions. On TV. So yeah, I guess that I mean I don't know why anybody would support Man United from Zimbabwe. I don't know where the connection is. You know, we had a connection. Bruce Grobler was Zimbabwean, and you know, we had a strong connection. So, Graham, unless you can tell us about your uncle that played for Man United, what's up, bro?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I think no, there don't seem to be any questions rolling in. I think we've covered a lot, and it was an absolute pleasure. So I'm going to let you go and get back to your life. And thank you so much for taking the time to have a chat with me. And it's been fun. I really enjoyed this one. And wishing you all the best and all the success that you deserve.
Thanks, bro. No, it was great to catch up. Good to see you doing well. Hope the fam are all well. Say how's it to the wife for me, please. And yeah, like I said, hopefully in a few months' time, we'll be having a beer on the banks of the Zambezi, having a pizza or burger at the Three Monkeys. And yeah, we can, as I said, you know, I just, yeah, can't wait to get back there. Can't wait to host friends there. Can't wait to take my wife back there, take my boy there. You know, I don't know if this was supposed to be about Zim, but you know, it's definitely a big part of I guess our relationship is based in Zim. So yeah, hopefully see you there soon.
Great, wonderful. And take care. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and thank you for your comments and your questions and interacting. And we're here every Wednesday, same time, 7 p.m. CAT and 6 p.m. BST. So if you want to join us for another one, come again next week, and it'll all be happening exactly the same. So, Ilan, thank you very much, and we'll catch you later, bro.
Yeah, I see here that I mean, Ryan Solomon wrote, he's never seen me talk so much. I don't think my wife's ever heard me talk this much. You know, I'm usually pretty quiet. Maybe we should do this more often to learn more about me.
We'll in a couple of months and see where things have developed.
Thanks, bud. Be well, eh?
You too. Cheers, bro.
Thank you. Ciao.